Welcome to Inking on the Fly with Amy Jasper. That's me. I am sharing with you today a card that I made for the As You See It Challenge blog. It just posted on my own blog, inkingonthefly.com, just this morning. So you can see the photos and the details written out there, but I thought that I would share with you how I made the card. So here I am. These are the two stamp sets that I used for this card. So the Merry Moose photopolymer stamp set. I really like this saying, enjoy the stillness of the season. So we're using that one. That's it from that stamp set. And then the Christmas Countdown cling mount stamp set, we're going to use these linear line images on the card. So that's what we're doing with that. And this is the card that I wanted to share with you. So this one just sort of shows off how you can use watercoloring to take a simple die cut and turn it into something quite beautiful, and it just gives that, I don't know, it takes it to the next level, I guess. So that's what, that's what I got going on here. So you might also notice that it has a few items on it that are new. So here we have the, now I'm not going to remember the name of it. I'll look at my notes. Shimmer ribbon. So this is the 1/4 inch gold shimmer ribbon. It's beautiful. And then we have the gold enamel dots as well. Those little babies there, which are so pretty. And they are both from a new suite that Stampin' Up! Has available to customers now, called the Christmas Time is Here suite. It includes those items as options to purchase, but also there's a stamp set and there's dies and paper and lots of beautiful things. There's even a bracelet, which is beautiful. So have a look online. You can go to my online store where you can see more details about the Christmas Time is Here suite. It's only available while supplies last, so I would suggest that you jump on it as soon as possible, because there have been times when people are very disappointed because they go to buy a beautiful product like that and find that it has already sold out. So have a look and make sure you order right away. Don't wait. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I did here, and hopefully I have all of the supplies. I think I do. So this is actually, you'll notice, a square card, and I'm just going to adjust my lighting. I feel like we're dealing with, that's a bit better maybe. Too many shadows. Let's fix it. Go away, shadows. Does that help? Maybe. So what was I saying? Oh, yes, it's a square card. So I don't do square cards very often, but I really like square cards. So this one is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square. And what I like about that size is that it still fits in a standard Stampin' Up! Envelope, the medium envelope. So that it just makes it easy. You don't have to make an envelope as well. And it's, I don't know, the size is, it's a nice size to work with as well. Okay, so we have some heat embossing on here. We have the wreath, and yeah, some scoring around the edges. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. You can see that on there too. So that goes all the way, it frames it a little bit. It goes all the way around. I just find that doing that scored edge all the way around just really adds a certain elegance to the card, which, who doesn't like elegance, right? Okay. So I'm going to start by working with the layer on top. So this one, the layer on top, is a Whisper White piece of cardstock, and it measures 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, so not quite 4 inches. So that one, we are going to do the lines down the side with the stamps from the Christmas Countdown stamp set. So that's these two images here, which I have on my block on either side so that I'm ready for that. I don't have to bring out two blocks. I can just use the same one. Very efficient of me, right? I don't know, maybe. Okay, so because we're going to be doing embossing, the first thing I need to do is use my embossing buddy. This is a powder-filled little pillow, and when I apply it to my paper, it's going to help reduce static and fingerprints like oils and stuff from making my embossing powder stick where I don't want it to stick. I'm turning it the other way just because I find it easier to stamp my line images horizontally rather than vertically. So you can see I'm lining it up on my grid paper. That also helps me make sure that I'm stamping straight. And then I have my Versamark ink. And I am going to start at the edge. So ink up my stamp. And I have my stamps positioned so I can see where they are still. Otherwise, if I had them right on top of each other, it would be harder for me to know that I'm in the right place. Okay, so you can't see that because it's Versamark. I can see it very lightly in the light. So I have to kind of look where I am so that I can stamp the next one, which is the, I guess it's a Poinsettia Flourish. So that one is going to go right about there. Like that. And my stamp wasn't very clean, as you can see, but that's okay. Okay, one more time. I'm doing, again, the kind of argyle pattern. And looking where I was and stamping, again, still using the grid pattern to help me make sure it's straight. My paper was a bit crooked, so hopefully that doesn't affect that too much. Okay, so there is that part stamped. And then I have some gold embossing powder in a Tupperware container here. And that's why I'm not really worried about this bit of pink on there. So you can see, there's the images, you can see them stamped. But there's a bit of pink there. It doesn't matter because my embossing powder is going to cover it up anyways. So this is gold embossing powder. So now it's going to stick only where the Versamark was and not on any static or fingerprints because I use that embossing buddy. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to heat set this with my heat tool. It's going to be a little bit loud, so just bear with me. And that never gets old. Watching the embossing powder turn from a matte powder finish to the gloss is it's just fun. Okay, so now you can see that's embossed with the gold embossing powder. Very pretty. And then I have that beautiful gold shimmer ribbon that I'm going to attach now to this piece so that it's ready for the next phase, which is kind of the fun part, I think, is the watercoloring part. So when I tie ribbons on my card or twine or anything, I do tend to leave it on the spool. I feel like I waste less if I do that. So this I need to tie quite low. And bows can be challenging, and I like bows on my cards most times. So I take the time to fuss with bows, but I know some people are bow challenged, and that is okay. If you don't want to do a bow in the way that I am doing it, by tying it directly to the card, you can do cheater bows, which are a little less finicky to do. And there are, I won't show you in this video, but there are ways to get around bows. So you can see I fuss. I make sure everything's flat when I tie a bow. And I take my time. Like that. Voila! Now where's my scissors? Oh, Amy. Oh, Amy. I don't know where my scissors are. So that's a bit of a problem. I have a bit of a mess around me. So who knows where they are? Who knows? I sure don't. Okay, I'm going to have to use not very good scissors because I can't find mine. Okay, I have these very dull, inappropriate for ribbon scissors, just for the sake of cutting this so that I can carry on. I'll find my scissors. I know I will. I've been cleaning up my craft room. It's not there yet, but I'm getting a little closer. I tend to work in a bit of a whirlwind and then leave the mess behind because cleaning isn't fun. Creating is fun. Cleaning is not fun. Okay, so there's my 1/4-inch gold, what do they call it again? Shimmer ribbon from the Christmas Time is Here Sweet. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Okay, so that piece is done. Sometimes I feel like I use some glue dots maybe to tack things down if I want them to sit a little bit more under control. But that's the start of that piece. Now the fun part is the watercoloring. So I like to use my Stamparatus plate with my watercoloring because watercoloring gets wet and wet and messy doesn't always work when there's paper around you, right? So I have pre-die cut some wreaths from the All Around Wreath Dies. That is a set of dies that is in the holiday catalog. So we have a base wreath, we've got the wreath that I used, and a couple of sprigs of leaves and twigs. This is something that it's in the holiday catalog, but you can use it for other seasons, clearly, because wreaths are not just about winter. You can have spring wreaths and fall leaves and all the things. So I'm just going to pop out these little bits that didn't come out. And this is just from, I used watercolor paper. So Stampin' Up has, that doesn't want to come out. Stampin' Up has new watercolor paper actually, which I have not tried yet. I need to order it so I can give it a go because that is pretty exciting to me. All right. Don't need all those little bits. Okay, so here we have a wreath, and I'm going to use an aqua painter and just wet the wreath down. You can also use a spritzer, Stampin' Up spritzers. You can just spray your wreath. That's another option for wetting it down. It's a little quicker. Depends on your style, of course. So I'm just adding, oh, there's color in my aqua painter. That happens sometimes. It's a bit, it's in the right color category, so I think I'm okay with that. So I'm just adding water to saturate. that watercolor paper. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And then you have a couple of options for picking up ink. You can take your ink pad and open it and use the little sort of palette there to pick up ink. Or you can use ink refills directly, which is what I like. I like using ink refills because I feel like I can get a stronger color with an ink refill, and I like that. Some of my color or water has saturated into my paper more over here than I'd like. I want it to kind of puddle on top because then I know that when I apply the ink, it will move on the paper kind of on its own. It's fun to watch. Okay. So I have Call Me Clover. And I have, here, let's move that so we can have those up there for you. Does that, no, you can't see it anyways. And then I have Granny Apple Green. It's kind of one of my favorite greens right now. And then I have Coastal Cabana, which is more on the blue side, but I wanted a little bit of la-ti-da to my colors, a little punch. Okay, so now I can, hopefully this is wet enough. I should have had all of those inks ready beforehand. There we go. I don't want this to dry in between. Okay, so then I'm going to apply those colors directly to my wetted die cut. So we have the Call Me Clover, so I can just pick that up and then see how it just, oh, it's so pretty. See how it does that? And I'm going to go in threes here and let that color bleed around. It's so pretty. A little bit more over here. Like that. Now I should have a piece of, oh, maybe I do. So a piece of paper towel, just because I want to change colors. So I'm just going to dab that off like that. Now, every time you do this technique, or every time you watercolor, basically, you're going to end up with slightly different results. Okay, so now I've got the Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to put it beside, on either side of the darker green. So like that. Ooh, I'm really liking how this one is turning out. So it's turning out different than my other one, and I quite like how it's looking so far. Okay, so I am cleaning off my aqua painter again, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up, and I've lost a little bit of color, or a little bit of moisture. We'll see how it plays out. So this is Coastal Cabana now. So you can see how these colors work together, right? They're Coastal Cabana almost is similar. It's interesting to me to the Call Me Clover. So it's not kind of bleeding out as quickly. Now I can't remember where I was. This was Call Me Clover. See how it's interesting to me. The Coastal Cabana really looks very close to the Call Me Clover when it's watercolored. That is very interesting to me. Okay, so now I want to add a little more clover, but I'm not sure where it is. So we've got clover there. I think here, right? Yes, because it has, I think, let's just do that. We'll just go for it. Yeah, because I just want to darken that and make it noticeably different from the oh, there we go. Now we've got some nice dark. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Oh, it's pretty. I'm so excited. I think I like it better than my other one I did. Okay, I'm just cleaning off my aqua painter again. Okay. So then we have that, but it's wet, and that's okay. I'm just going to use my paper towel to clean up a little bit around it. I don't want to dab it necessarily. So what I'm going to do, let's see if I don't know if I can lift it up. It might be too saturated to pick up. Oh, maybe it's okay. I'm just going to kind of clean out some of that excess water. Okay, so it's still very wet. And like I said, that's okay because I'm going to go in with my heat tool now and dry it. And you'll notice too, this one's a little different from my other one that I made. I don't know if, well, here's the other one that I made. You can compare. There's more white showing on the one that I just did, and I kind of like that. We'll see how different they look when they're done. Okay, so now I'm going to use my heat tool, and I can keep my Stamparatus plate underneath as long as I don't stay in one spot too long. And I'm just constantly moving and not too close, then I should be able to keep the Stamparatus plate underneath and not cause it to fog, or it shouldn't warp at all, but so it's always best to be on the safe side, right? And if you are not comfortable with using your Stamparatus plate, another option that I quite think is a good idea is to get a glossy white tile, because then you can see the color really well, and the tile certainly can handle heat. You don't have to worry about the heat at all. But in this case with the Stamparatus plate, I'm just going to move over it constantly in motion and not too close. Let's pause for a second. Where'd my paper towel go? I had it a minute ago. Did I throw it in the garbage? I don't even know. Anyways, okay, never mind. I'm going to flip this over instead. Not that that matters. What I wanted to do was just flip this to the other side because the bottom's quite wet. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. Pretty dry, I think. Basically, I want it dry enough that I can work with it and carry on with my card, but also I'm going to be sticking things to it, and things don't stick well to something that is wet, right? So I think it feels good. I think we're good. Okay, so we can put the Stamparatus plate aside. I wish I knew where that paper towel went. Oh, I did throw it in the garbage. I just want to clean up my mess here. And make sure that we don't have any wetness or ink that's going to get on the rest of the card. Okay, I think we're good, I hope. I'm using white paper, so it's always a little sketchy to have any ink kicking around. So I'm just going to grab, just so I don't have to interrupt you guys, I'm just going to put a piece of my grid paper from my Stamparatus on here so that that covers up and protects my project from the ink that might be there. Okay, next phase. So we now have the embossed piece with the ribbon on it. We have the watercolored wreath. So actually let's do the next, well, let's do this part next, I think. So I still have little pieces in my wreath here. I don't want to take the time to pop those out when you're watching. Just, I can leave them in or deal with it later, one or the other. Okay, so I want to put this on here, but you can see it's kind of awkward because there's a bow in the way. If I put it underneath, kind of loses something because there's ribbon in the way. So what I'm going to do with the scissors that are not proper scissors, because I can't find my scissors, who knows where they went? They're not in my... Anyways, I'm not going to spend time on that. Okay, so I am going to use these scissors and just cut my wreath. And it's going to tuck underneath the bow and over top of the ribbon piece. Huh? See that? Yes, I can be clever sometimes. So it's going to look like that. So I'm going to attach that with glue dots, just because it gives me a certain amount of control because it's awkwardly underneath things. So I'm going to, I don't know, grab 4 glue dots. And this is where I would also use my scissors or my take your pick tool, but I am not that organized, so they're not handy for me to grab at the moment. Here we go, this will work. I've got another pair of not proper scissors just to pick up these pieces. Okay, so I am going to attach this beauty underneath these larger sections of the wreath so that the glue dots are hidden. So those are going to tuck underneath. Let's see, I'll put one here. Actually, maybe I better focus on the area around the bow first, make sure that's going to not give us away that we did a little sneaky cut there. There we go. Oh, that one's tucking out. That's okay. And then one more, I think, will be enough. I'm going to tuck one under this spot here. This is a lot easier to do when you're not filming it at the same time. Just saying. Okay. Hopefully those are good. Looks good to me. Okay, then that's applied, so that's exciting. We have some embellishments and some words to apply there. So, but I'm going to do that at the end, I think. Have that all attached to the card base at the end. So let's do that wonderful score line all the way around the card front. That adds a certain elegance, like I said before. So for that, we are going to use the Simply Scored tool from Stampin' Up. And we're just going to do a 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So when I do stuff like this, usually pretty much almost all the time, I'm using the finer end of my stylus, my scoring stylus. There's a larger end and a smaller end. So I typically use the smaller end. And when I start, I can start by going 1/8 of an inch from the top and finish 1/8 of an inch from the bottom so that when I flip it, I'm in the right spot. So I'm doing the 1/8 of an inch and I'm pulling it down to avoid having it skip like out to the next track. Follow the line down instead of, like if you're holding it like a pen and you're going down like this, we tend to not quite go in the direction that you need to go. So I find if you're going in the same direction and you're pulling in that direction instead of pushing, then I find that it doesn't jump out of the track. There we go. So then you can turn it and do the next one. All right, I'm not thrilled with this little mishap over here, but it will be a subtle deviation from perfection, which sometimes you just have to be okay with that. Okay, so that's the scoring. So now I can, yeah, that's interesting. Now I can fold, or you could have folded before, I suppose, but now I can fold it on my previous scored line so that it's 4 1/4. And again, who knows where my scoring blade is? My stamping, or my bone folder, my stamping room, like I said, is a bit of a schmoz. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I ended up with a bit of a mess down here. Let's see, I can probably just smooth it out. Oh, that worked really well. Okay. Okay, so then we can, so that's our card base. We can then attach this piece to the card front, and I'm going to use dimensionals to do that. So these are Stampin' Up! Mini Dimensionals. Because I did some heat embossing, a lot of times when you heat emboss, the paper warps a little bit just because of the heat. If you can make the heat more even and do front and back, it will warp less. I don't know why I always forget to do that. But anyways, I'm putting way more dimensionals on than I would if it was not heat embossed, just so it will hold its shape better. And what that means is that now you get to watch me take all the little backings off. And that's fun, right? Not really. Okay, so after I pop this baby on, then we can do the sentiment and the rest of the embellishments, and we're almost done. And this is the card that I designed for the As You See It Challenge blog, which posted their challenge today at the As You See It Challenge blog, asyouseeitchallenge.com. And this is an example of that challenge. And this week is a sketch challenge. So this was based on a sketch. So if you haven't ever been a part of that, or if you have and you haven't for a long time, I would encourage you to give that a try. It's a great way to get your creative mojo going by doing a challenge based on a sketch or a color combination or whatever, a theme. Okay, so that's on dimensionals. Looking good. When I have my proper scissors, I will trim my bow a little bit more because I don't know where they are. I swear they were here like yesterday. Yesterday when I was making this card, they were here. Okay, it's really pretty so far, but we're not done. So the next thing we're going to do is stamp a sentiment. And I used the sentiment from the Merry Moose stamp set. Enjoy the stillness of the season. One of my favorites. So we're going to stamp that with Versamark ink, which means first we need to do our embossing buddy to make sure we get rid of any static on the card. And we've got the Versamark ink and the stamp. So we can stamp that on there. Like that. It's there, I promise. I can't show you for some, apparently. Oh, there it is. And then I can heat emboss it. And again, there is nothing stuck where I don't want it to be stuck. So I can heat that with my heat tool. So again, we're going to have some noise, but this one will be a little quicker. So that's the gold embossing powder. And then I have a circle die from the Stitched Shapes die set from Stampin' Up. So that's going to go over top of this, and it's nice because I already stamped it, so I know that I can center it. And then I'll die cut that in my die cutting machine. But I don't need to do that with you right now because I already did one. So when it comes out of there, it looks like this with the stitching around it. So pretty. And that is going to go on my card with dimensionals again. This time I'm just going to use 2. I think I'm feeling pretty safe that 2 will be enough. 1 on each side so that it will go out. The dimensionals will be on either side of the ribbon. So the ribbon's going to slide up the center of these dimensionals. So that will pop in right there. Pretty. Right? Okay, I think I like it. I like it a lot. All right, what's missing? We have one more thing that we need to do. 2 more things, I suppose, but I don't think I'm going to do the other thing. I'm just going to do the one thing. I'll tell you more about the other thing, or I'll compare the cards. So these are the gold enamel dots that are also part of the Christmas Time is Here suite from Stampin' Up. That is only available now for a limited time only. So if you like this stuff, make sure you go grab it. So these are super pretty. They're gold. There's a bit of glittery gold glitter in there. I don't know if it's capturing it very well on the screen. Probably not. So we are going to use a few of these. So I've got one big one. Oh, the take your pick tool would be very handy right now. Or even a what's the other thing I was thinking of? Why can't it? Oh, paper piercing tool. That's what I'm thinking of. That would even be very handy, which, oh my gosh, my room is so messy. I did clean some of it today. I'm quite proud of myself, actually. I can walk in my room now without tripping over things. So that's like a huge thing. It's a big deal. Okay, so we're just popping these on, and I'm pairing them up. So I've got 2. I'm doing a little bit of a larger one with a smaller one. Oops, come on now. See, the little ones are the hardest because they're so little. Teeny tiny. Oops, and what did I just do? I don't know what just happened. I lost it. Oh, there it is. Whew. Thought I lost it. Lost it. I do, English is my first language. But grammar, well, grammar is its own thing. Okay, I guess I'll cover up this. I have a little bit of glue dot showing there. And I don't want anything sticking to it without my permission. Okay, well, last one. I'm going to put it over here. Pretty, right? So pretty. Okay, so the difference between this one and the one that I did earlier, oh my, that's just a tad crooked. Don't know if I can I'll fix that later. It's okay. So the difference is, and I think I like it better this way, the first one I did has this little red or cherry cobbler bow here. Or not bow. What is that called? It's called a flower. And that's a die cut flower from the Detailed Deer set of framelits. So that I die cut and popped it on there to match the challenge layout, the needs of the layout. However, I have to say, I kind of like it better without it. And also I have these little embellishments there that could actually work as the piece that they needed in the challenge, in the sketch. So if you look at the As You See It challenge blog, As You See It challenge.com, then you'll see what their sketch is actually looks like, and then you can see why this would work as well. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's my card that I wanted to share with you today. And again, you can see the difference that just different watercoloring styles create. So this one I left a little more white bits on the edges, which in watercoloring, that is a technique to purposely leave more white space. This one is more saturated. So it just depends what your preferences are. But I think this works. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you will give the As You See It challenge blog a try and see what beautiful things you can make with the challenge. Use the challenge to get your creative mojo flowing. All right, have a good one, and we will see you next time.